Hey everybody, Josh Sargent of World Alternative Media here, and I'm here for another quick news show and take your questions later. And I don't know what's going to go on, but we'll see what happens here. There's a few things in the news that I wanted to get into, and one of which is something I will be putting up a video on tomorrow, which is Dennis Hoff, which is a hilarious story. So stay tuned for that. Before I get into anything, make sure to press like on the video, get it going, get it into the suggested videos, get it into the algorithm, and make sure that we can actually get some viewers in. I did run on this live show a few minutes ago, and then I looked and it was set to private. So, yeah, that sucked after 6 minutes. But we're here, and one of the things I wanted to go into is Jeff Sessions. That guy that wanted to basically ban Canadians who had ever at some point in their life smoked pot. The guy that is perpetuating the drug war, the same thing that's been propped up by the U.S. government for decades, arm and fund cartels and stuff, and, destabilize countries, the CIA, Operation Condor, IMF loaning money to countries, destabilizing them, pushing them to poverty, creating the divide and conquer agenda that we're seeing kind of come to a cusp today. Well, Jeff Sessions was fired. Now, we're hearing that he resigned, and he did resign, but he was forced to resign. And I wanted to kind of go into this. Of course, it's all bread and circuses. It's government. It's a house of cards. It's politics. It's all nonsense. But let's look into the story because I think there is a bit that we can learn from this. So, going into the article, and by the way, thank you all for tuning in. I see all you. I'll get to your comments soon. But going into the article here, let me just actually get the right thing up. All right. So as the article says, Attorney General Jeff Sessions pushed out of Trump White House. President taps critic of special counsel's Russia probe to oversee it, drawing Democrats' disapproval. And as the article further goes into, Attorney General Jeff Sessions resigned at the request of President Trump on Wednesday, immediately placing oversight of the special counsel's Russia probe in the hands of an official who has been critical of the inquiry and suggested limiting it. Notice how the mainstream media, as always, like the Wall Street Journal, is pushing the Russian thing, because what's better than keeping people in fear and getting us to, getting the popular culture to support insanity like potential conflict with Russia, because that's what we all need, to be used as pawns to be sacrificed for the king and the queen, which is what war is all about, folks, and money, of course. Now let's get into this article further. As it goes on to say, the move one day after elections in which Republicans lost control of the White House, lost control of the House of Representatives, rather, but made gains in the Senate, follows months in which Mr. Trump regularly expressed displeasure with Mr. Sessions for recusing himself from the inquiry into alleged Russian interference in the 2016 election. Mr. Trump has described the nation's top law enforcement officer as disgraceful. Mr. Sessions made it clear in his resignation letter that Mr. Trump had asked him to step down, saying he was submitting his resignation at your request. The undated letter was written Wednesday, a Justice Department spokeswoman said. In a tweet announcing Mr. Sessions' departure, Mr. Trump said Matthew Whitaker, Mr. Sessions' top aide, would become acting Attorney General. We thank Attorney General Jeff Sessions for his service and wish him well, Mr. Trump said. White House Chief of Staff John Kelly, not Mr. Trump, called Mr. Sessions and sought the resignation letter, an administration official said. Mr. Whitaker, a former federal prosecutor and conservative legal advocate, can serve in an acting capacity for 210 days or longer under circumstances. Mr. Trump isn't expected to keep him on as a permanent successor, one Trump advisor said. Now let's look at this resignation letter, aka, okay, fine, I'll let you fire me kind of letter. It says, Dear Mr. President, at your request, I am submitting my resignation. That's terrible. Since the day I was honored to be sworn in as Attorney General of the United States, I came to work at the Department of Justice every day, determined to do my duty and serve my country. I have done so to the best of my ability, working to support the fundamental legal process that are the foundation of justice. Okay. The team we assembled embraced your directive to be a law and order department of justice. We prosecuted the largest number of violent offenders and firearm defendants in our country's history. Yep. We took on transnational gangs that are bringing violence and death across our borders and protected national security. We did our part to restore immigration enforcement. We targeted the opioid epidemic by prosecuting doctors, pharmacists, and anyone else who contributes to the crisis with new law enforcement tools and determination. And we have seen results. After 2 years of rising violent crime and homicides prior to the administration, those trends have reversed, thanks to the hard work of our prosecutors and law enforcement around the country. Yes, thank you very much to all the pirates out there that have made it possible to, put guns to people's heads and throw them in cages because our ideas are better than yours, as they say. The whole tactic of democracy itself. Jeff Sessions was terrible, but let's face it, they will replace him with, I don't know, maybe turd sandwich, douchebag. What did they say on South Park again? There's a few examples of BS that they can replace them with. It's not going to be good, folks. Government isn't going to fix the problems of government, and waiting, apathetic, on our hands, sitting on our hands, complacent all day makes us slaves, and we've done it for centuries, for millennia, and it'll never change. It'll always continue, and as long as we look to government to change government, like maybe they'll change things, change we can believe in, it'll just repeat itself for eternity, and we'll never learn. We'll just keep being dependent and religiously, glassy-eyed with the notion that maybe, just maybe this time, we'll be saved by this entity instead of, saving ourselves and being individuals and independent and all that kind of stuff. It's all terrible. And as Lakim Muhammad says in the comments here, the whole system is wicked and corrupt no matter who gets in. That's absolutely true. There's absolutely no doubt about it. Toenail, nice name by the way, says Hillary Clinton, weird way of spelling it, for AG. Yeah, that at this point, who cares? I mean, it's all nonsense. It's all. Do you really want to push it off a little bit longer? It's like cut off that 95% of cancer, leave 5% left, and everyone prevails. No, that's not the way it works, because that cancer will grow and it will always grow. We need this whole system to go down, and then we need to build it up, from a free market, free individualist level, without the coercion of a massive pirate ship of state that, they thrive on our debt. They thrive on our servitude. They thrive on the control of the populace. Anyway, as I talk about things that aren't like on my knees to Trump or whatever president is in power at the time, not that he has any say, it's a deep state, and the deep state is going to control every government. I notice as I talk about this stuff, we're losing viewership. So this is why people are like, well, you're getting paid by this person to say this or that. They always come up with their theories, and it's like, if I wanted to make money, I would just like toe the line on the left or the right. Honestly, it would make things a lot more easier for me. But this is the truth. We have to stop being dependent on these people. It's nonsense. Jeff Sessions is a terrible person. Good. Bye. See you later. Let's never see you again. You're going to write a memoir in a year or so, and it'll be in the news a little bit, and that'll be about it. And I think that's his legacy going forward. That old man that yells at clouds. Anyway, going into the next story, Bitcoin. This is one that I'm actually excited about because we talk about the problems with society, and now let's talk about the solutions. Toenail mentioned something, fire Bolton next. Yeah, just fire everyone. That would be great. That's what I would love to see. Anyway, maybe then I'll be like, yes, thank you, Trump. Thank you very much for firing everyone. That's exactly what we wanted to see. Anyway, Bitcoin, the solutions. Let's see this story here. Okay, so the story about Bitcoin today is something I've been talking about for a while, and as a Zero Hedge article says, Bitcoin volatility collapses to 2-year lows, more stable than the S&P 500. Now, I apologize ahead of time for all the advertisements on Zero Hedge these days. Zero Hedge is still one of the best news sites out there. But they've been dealing with a lot of advertisements lately. It's too much. Just anyone, Tyler, the guy who is one of the Tyler Durdens at Zero Hedge, if you're watching, please, there's blockchain alternatives, smart media tokens. Let's get away from All these advertisements is too much. Like, look at this stuff. Anyway, let's look at this article. So as it goes into, Bitcoin, like most cryptocurrencies, has experienced tremendous pain in 2018. Yeah, I'd say. But there is a silver lining developing. In a stark contrast to the violent swings in global equity markets, wild price swings have been absent daily Bitcoin flows in the last month or so. And as it goes into further, measured on a weekly basis, absolute levels of Bitcoin volatility is probing levels not seen since late 2016, right before the most massive pump and dump in modern times took the coin from $700 to almost $20,000 within 12 months. Yes, I remember. It was great. Going further, it says, volatility has been a major characteristic of the digital currency, which turned 10 years old last week, throwing up major hurdles to its emergence as a mainstream asset class, said Reuters. And then it says here, Bitcoin volatility sinks to a near 2-year low. And it's something that I've been trying to talk about a little bit lately regarding Bitcoin, is that over this year we've seen this effect. It's like bouncing up and down, and every bounce it bounces a little bit lesser and a little bit lesser, but it always hits that floor. And you just have it slowly going, oh, okay, and then it's just in a straight line. I think it's really healthy. We have a lot of people that are gonna try and make some kind of price prediction out of this. We have seen a bit of a rally in the last 48 hours. Good, but let's not base everything on that. There's a lot more to the story. It's news, which hasn't been as effective lately on the price. Development in the space, and of course, we got to get over this. The side effects of this massive bubble burst that we saw. You got to remember, we had all these terrible cryptocurrency altcoins. I mean, there's a lot of great altcoins, but there's so many bad ones. And it was like, remember the .com bubble? I'm sure some of you do. We got some young viewers, some people old enough to remember the .com bubble. Anyway, it wasn't that long ago, really. But we saw a few really great .com companies. And then we saw just countless terrible .com companies, and it sunk the market, and it took about 10 years for something like Amazon to recover. It's going to take a lot less time, I think, in this case, by far, without a doubt, but we could still be looking at a year-long bear market, or we could see something happen in January, arbitrary stuff, but we can't put a date on when this is going to improve, and trying to simply makes us look kind of stupid, really, because the chances of us being right are just like, cross your fingers, maybe you'll be right. It's just not a good way of going about this. We have to look at why it exists, and that's why I put up a video today with Aaron Nakamoto and Kingsley Edwards regarding the 10-year anniversary of Bitcoin and what it's all about. This is all about solutions and creating alternatives to government and banks and central banks, for the fractional reserve system, for the zero reserve policies that are being pushed through, the banking institutions propping up massive housing bubbles, pension bubbles, derivatives bubbles. And yeah, I mean, what is volatility in, the Forex markets, or volatility in the stock markets? Well, it's all manipulation. It's all complete nothingness. It's not real individual demand. And we did see a problem with manipulation with Bitcoin, and we will continue as long as these institutions exist. But we got to break through that. And so, yeah, we're seeing a much more easy to tread ground. I'm excited about it. I'm very excited. I'm more excited than ever for Bitcoin. I'm more excited than ever for some of the cryptocurrencies. I'm not as bullish on a lot of the altcoins as I used to be. But, they make announcements, they make like amazing ideas, and then a lot of them don't come to fruition, and you just, whatever, that's what happens. The market will react, and that's how this stuff works. I'm getting a few comments here. I want to go into a few of them, and then just send in your questions. I'm happy to take them. Toenail says, crypto is a precursor to the NWO Beast digital one world currency. Precursor? Well, blockchain, we have to be concerned about the use of cryptographic in that. So blockchain technology is definitely something, if centralized, that can do a lot of harm, used by the governments and banks and that kind of stuff. But crypto itself, you don't blame. Okay, so say you have gold, and gold is great. But then on top of that, on the other hand, you have a paper contract on gold. And let's say you have one piece of gold and 10 million paper contracts on that same piece of gold. That doesn't make gold bad. That makes a system bad. If the system is bad, change the system or actually eliminate the system. Yeah, we're dealing with huge problems out of China and India, the most coercive states in the world when it comes to cryptocurrencies and decentralized blockchain technology that are on top of the cashless society system, getting it ready for the SDR at the IMF, which I have doubts they'll ever be successful in. It's a hard task to come by because it's all a desperation move, and everything is not going in their favor lately, to say the least. I do want to say, yes, I am doing better after the the medical issue, the poison and all that last week. It was tough. I really appreciate all the support. It meant a lot. It was really hard to get through for the first 2-3 days. It was one of the craziest things that I've ever seen happen to anyone, and happened to me. Um, just I managed to survive. I'm one of those people that always likes to look forward, and I'm always looking for what do I do next, and surviving like that just made me more ambitious than ever. So you'll have to do a better job than that if you're watching me, because I'm not going to go down easily. And if you want to make a martyr out of me, then please do. We got a decent enough viewership here, and you take me down, and you'll have at least a little bit of a standing army on your hands, and it'll be quite obvious to everyone. And again, you'll make a martyr out of me. So it was a very difficult situation. I survived, and I'm happy I did, and I really appreciate all the support that I got from all of you. It meant a lot. Anyway, let's look at a few of these comments here. Bleeze Dees says, when will this thing blow? Global elite moving to Asia. Yeah, there's a huge power shift going to Asia right now, and especially China. We are seeing that move for the IMF to put their headquarters in Beijing in coming years. They are accumulating a bunch of gold and a whole bunch of assets. They are loaning out money like the IMF does to countries that can't afford to pay it back, owning up tons of Africa. It's a pretty incredible thing. It's horrible, and we need to understand it, because I do believe, and I was talking with someone earlier about this, I believe that there is a very good chance that we'll see a global dollar crash from the world reserve currency US dollar, and China will prosper possibly for a few years before they go down. Because every fiat system will go down, they will go down too. But they are seriously, backing themselves up. And then Russia is also increasing their mining capabilities amazingly. They're stocking up on assets and gold and all that kind of stuff, while countries like Canada sell off all their gold. It's basically like bowing down on their knees, like, China, please take over. They're unrolling their centrally planned cashless system, where if your money's in the bank, it's not yours, it's a bank's. And if your money's always going through the banks via digital transactions and legal tender laws, very important, fiat by fiat, right? Then it's never your money, it's always a bank's, and you are essentially enslaved to the banking system and the government. And with the social credit scores, let's be real, folks, this is coming to a place near you soon as well. Individuals and the free market need to take hold of this artificial intelligence, decentralize it to the best of our ability, because if we just ignore it and say, oh, this is terrible, then we're allowing the government to develop it, and we do not want that to happen. We need to be more efficient and beat them out and beat them at their own game. It doesn't need to be used for control. Technically, automation isn't really a bad thing. About 20 years ago, 50% of the jobs that exist today couldn't have been thought of. This kind of stuff actually leads to more jobs overall statistically, and I've done reports on this in the past. It's actually a good thing. The jobs that are left, or that are invalid, or people don't get employed to anymore, or these things at fast food places, sorry, but they're kind of useless jobs. If the market is taking over that job, then it allows for more flexibility and diversity in lines of work. It allows us to branch out into new fields and create new fields. And it's a beautiful thing. As automation sped up in the 1980s, 1990s, the internet came out of it and created a massive new industry. And we got a whole lot coming out of the blockchain community as well. It's not a bad thing to see automation, but it's a bad thing if you're scared and hide in a hole and allow everything to progress around you, and then give the government all the ability to develop on it because you don't like the idea. Well, the market has to provide. We can't just allow the government to go and run away with all this kind of crazy stuff. Um, anyway, there's a few personal questions regarding money that I'm not going to go into. I can tell you I'm not rich, but I'm someone that is financially responsible, and I'm able to take care of myself. And I'm very, very lucky, and I've been very, very fortunate. But yeah, I'm not rich or anything. Um, but anyway, let's look at some of these questions here. Crypto Crouton mentioned what happened. Someone dropped poison in one of my drinks, and it nearly killed me. I had near heart failure, and I was in critical condition, and I almost died. That was on October 31st. I slept the entire next day, all the way through the day until the 2nd. And after being in the hospital all night, IVs and all that kind of craziness. But I survived, and I'm looking forward, and I'm just happy to be alive, and I'm happy to take that and let it motivate me more, because too many people ponder on the bad things in their life, and it allows them to take hold of them and stop them, and it holds them back from the true potential that they do have as an individual. They allow terrible things to drag them into the dirt, and that doesn't need to be that way. We can utilize the worst situations in our life and make ourselves happier, make ourselves more productive, and accomplish amazing things. Um, Toenail, again, that name, man. Oh, man. Toenail says, were you in Vegas? Yes, I'm in Vegas for a couple months. If you have any interviews you guys want me to do down here, anyone that I'm not aware of maybe that lives here or around the area, let me know. Um, Todd Thomas says, how will Sessions leaving affect Mueller investigation? Well, it's all a big bread and circus media show. I mean, the whole idea is that they prop up the story to drive people against each other, like any media story. And it's like today at the press conference that Trump put on. I was watching a bit of it, even though I don't believe in any of this because it's all nonsense, all political garbage, all religious dogma, cultish BS. But anyway, I was watching the press conference, and the media is like, why are you dividing the people? And first of all, not very good objective questions, but why are you dividing the people? And I'm just thinking, like, okay, there might be a little bit of fault to lay on Trump's shoulders, but I think 99% rests on the media propaganda machine, which does a bidding of global governance, to divide and destroy the populace and conquer us. That's the whole idea of the propaganda arm of the government. And it's more evidence that the president has no say. So another reason why you shouldn't cross your fingers and bow on your knees for a president to change things for you, because you will be the change you wish to see in your own life. But as for the Mueller investigation, it's all just a way to create fear and anxiety and, all these fake, false bread and circuses distraction issues in order to get people angry at Russia and support the inevitable potential war, like they did for so long with Iraq following up, coming up on it, Afghanistan, etc. They always plant these seeds in our brain, and it's an incremental frog boil until they accomplish their goal of actually fooling people enough to pull these crazy things off. Humanity says it's a way to avoid the real issues. Absolutely, that is a number one issue here. And the real issues are that the entire government, any form of government, is just an organized crime racket. It's a cartel. And on the flip side, not on the flip side, you have the monetary system enslaving people, pushing people into debt servitude, impoverishing people, more taxes, extortion levied on people, causing them to go further into poverty, and then they implement more taxes to say they're going to help the poor and all this kind of stuff. it goes on forever and ever and ever, and this system is so perpetual and Hegelian, like the Hegelian dialectic of problem, reaction, solution, repeat. It's nonsense, and yet the real news on top of that is that we have solutions, and we have diverse solutions, cryptocurrencies that are truly decentralized with fundamental value. Do your own due diligence, and gold and silver as wealth preservation, not investments. I don't know why people look at gold and silver as an investment, but I do think they're over or undervalued, but that is my opinion, of course. And then we have, self-sustainability, food, water, shelter, self-defense. You're not gathering things for the toughest guy on the block, like I always say. It's incredibly important to mention. And Jim Acosta got his White House pass revoked, so he's not allowed to ask any more questions anymore. I find it funny. It's all just distractions. I don't know. I can't stand that Jim Acosta guy, but I can't stand government either. So overall, I'm just like, you lose or you lose. Either way, it's just insane that we've fallen for this time and time again. Like every single time they get a little bit smarter at fooling people, and then people get a little bit smarter at not being fooled, so they have to ramp it up a little bit. Yet we still just keep getting fooled by this notion that we must be dependent on a state, like government is some well-oiled machine that will do everything for us and do it well and efficiently. Like everything wouldn't be obviously way better on a free market with competition, free market demand, and all that. But no, let's have something that isn't dependent on, the market at all, and can do whatever they want and get away with it, and steal money and spend way more than necessary because they have an unlimited amount that they'll just print. Very annoying. Very annoying. Toenail mentions Creature from Jekyll Island. Actually, I'm going to be going to G. Edward Griffin's house in about a month in California. I'm looking forward to it. We're working on something involving the next Red Pill Expo, which is going to be great. I'll give you more info on that. I'm looking forward to it. I can't give you too much info. All I know is I'm going to be there. Jeff Berwick's going to be there. J. Edward Griffin, of course, at his own house. I'm assuming he's going to be there. And I got off the phone with him a while ago, and the idea is that we're going to kind of make this more crypto oriented, freedom, voluntarism oriented, and make up for some of the issues that some people had last year at the event, or this year at the event, which are worthy concerns that, of course, many of my friends have had as well with the Red Pill Expo. So this next year is going to be better than ever. Great speakers. It's going to be huge. I'll make sure that you guys know all about it as we come up on it and all that. And I'm also looking forward to Anarchapulco and all that. There's so much going on. We have these little communities forming, and it's growing, and we are winning, folks. We are winning, and there's no doubt about it when you see the level of desperation among the banking system establishment, governing establishment, with the media desperately trying to shut us down, the internet companies desperately trying to shut us down. We are winning, and don't take it as, don't get all angry. Take it as a compliment and get ahead of them, because the market will provide, and you are the market. So you got a way to do it. You got a way to solve these problems, and trust in yourself that you will do that. Get together with friends. We always have a way around anything these establishments do, because they always lose in the end, and they always shoot themselves in the foot. Anyway, I'm really happy always to talk with all of you here at WHAM. It's something I haven't been able to do much lately. I've been on the road a lot, and using my phone and doing like live streams to my phone. For some reason, my phone isn't showing me the questions at a good enough pace, so it's been difficult, and it's hard to keep up with them. But anyway, in some cases, it won't even show me what people are asking. But I figure we're 28 minutes and 52 seconds in. The quality, by the way, is terrible. I'm using an HD video camera. I don't know what the quality looks like to you guys, but I'm looking at the preview here, and it's like pixelized like crap. Oh man. I have like a really strong internet connection right now, apparently. But then YouTube's like, stream health isn't that great. And I'm looking, and it's all pixelized. 480p. That's brutal. I've got it at 1080 I on my webcam. Yeah, YouTube. Well, it's the usual stuff. Gotta love our YouTube. What would we do without this beautiful machine of algorithm that keeps people from finding the right messages, except for you guys, which are smart enough to break free from all of the videos that they have on the side that they're trying to attract you to. Like, click on this, learn about why you need to support this candidate and vote, and support this bill and this legislation, and be taxed more, or carbon scam, or one of these issues, right? BitTube is doing pretty good. I believe that we're going to see a lot of people moving to BitTube, BITTUBE. I am on BitTube. I should give everyone a heads up on that. Let me just go to my channel and I'll post the link in the chat box if I can get this to load. All right. Don't open it until after the video because I don't want to see you all disappear from this live stream. But know that I am there. And make sure to like this video, by the way. I want to see you like the video because we need to get those likes up because it allows us to catch the algorithm, catch the kind of wave, and allows us to actually be seen by people here on YouTube as they try to stop us from showing up on the suggested video pages on the side, which are where the vast majority of clicks on YouTube come from, which is fun times to be had by all. Love censorship. Isn't it great? Anyway, so I am going to get going right away. I have no idea what to talk about. It's been a long day and I'm tired, and I've rented a place here, so I've just been dealing with getting everything under control and getting videos done at the same time. Working on an IKEA bed right now, which I cannot finish because there's one instruction that makes no sense. Thanks, Swedes. I think our Norwegian friend John Sneisen would agree. Like, yeah, the Swedes are great, so great at instructions. Man, remind me never to go to IKEA again. Anyway, we're getting way off topic, and I don't think anyone cares about my IKEA problems. We will be getting a bunch of stuff up in the next week. We have some technical difficulties with John Sneisen that are happening. Something with his phone sending video files after we do a video where I have to cut it together here. Hasn't been working out too well. We're trying to find a faster way to do it, and he says he has an idea. He'll send me one of the last files from 3 days ago now to me around 9:30 p.m. tonight, and that'll allow me to start editing that video, and hopefully I can get it up by tomorrow. But I don't know. We'll see. Anyway, thank you all for joining us today, and stay tuned for more from them. Check the links below. We got GoFundMe, Patreon, all that kind of stuff, because, I mean, they are hurting us in our wallets right now, and it's brutal, and we can't do it without you guys. You make it happen. You make us, stay up and running and be able to interview people and go to these events and report on stories and keep it going. I'm working 17 hours a day. Keep it going all the time. And you make it happen, and I really appreciate all of you. You guys are awesome. And we will be back with much more. This is Josh Sigurdson signing out from World Alternative Media. Find the truth, be the change.